If you guys are watching this video, I'm pretty sure you just picked up your GTS tail lights, you installed them, but like me, the fitment isn't the best. So if you or anyone watching is trying to fix up that fitment, then this is the video for you guys. We're gonna show you guys how to achieve perfect fitment. GTS tail lights are on, installed, and working properly. I can run my finger across, and I can run my finger straight back without any fitment issues.
We go underneath.
What is up, you guys? Welcome back to yet another video. As you guys can tell behind me, I have the M. Today we're going to be focusing on the GTS tail lights for your M4 F82. Now I hope everyone's having a good day. If you are new to the channel, go down, hit the subscribe button. We are going to be adjusting the fitment on the GTS tail lights. I want to give a huge shout out to Vroom M4. I'm gonna drop his IG down below. He's actually the one that inspired me to do this video. He reached out to me via Instagram and he asked, he watched my previous video on the installation for the GTS tail lights, and he said, what tips and tricks I would give to installing these tail lights. I then thought, might as well make a video. It's crazy to me though. I did not expect, a bunch of you guys to reach out from that one video asking for, a more in-depth installation video. If you guys are watching this, you guys know who you guys are, but shout out to you guys. Here's the video. On these M4s though, the inner side tail light tends to stick out a bit. Being that they're aftermarket tail lights and not OEM, the fitment isn't the best, and you can see right there how it pokes out just a bit. First things first, of course, pop open your trunk, and we're gonna take out these 6 bolts, as well as these 2 that are on the inner side. After that, it should just come off. You're gonna have to unlatch your emergency latch. Once unlatched, you can basically take off the bolts and the trunk liner should just come down. So I'm not gonna go too in depth on how to remove all this. The video is really just purposed on the inner tail lights so we can focus on fitment. So yeah, remove the bolts, take off your little the hinges from behind the trunk. Bolts are out, hinges are off, the inner trunk lining is down, and we have now access to the inner side tail lights. These are what we're going to be focusing on today. One thing to note when taking off your trunk liner, these are the plastic bolts holding it in. That being said, be careful when taking these off because it's plastic and they strip quite easily. Therefore, use the exact Phillips screwdriver to take these out. You don't want to strip them and then, have that thing rounded in there. So you want to grab an 8mm. What we're going to do is take off that screw. That's the bolt holding the bracket to the inner side of your trunk, which holds in your tail light. Do note it's going to be your 8mm, and this is the bracket that's actually holding in your tail light, and then you'll have access to remove the tail light. I'm basically going to disconnect the connections, and I'm going to show you guys what you need to trim off for that flush fitment on these tail lights. Here is the tail light, the inner side rear passenger. What we're going to be doing is flipping it around. If you're looking at this from the inner side, it's opposite. So this side is actually facing the outer side of the car, and the pointed side faces your license plate. What we need to do is this knob right here, that little nipple right there, we're going to trim that off. You can use a razor blade, you can use a Dremel, whatever works to just trim this piece off. We're going to trim the entire piece off, and then we're going to sand it down so it's actually smooth with the rest of the body. Once that nipple is off, we are actually going to remove the weather sealant right here, this cushion, but we're going to trim this off, and I'm going to show you guys step by step what you need to do to then reinstall and get that flush fitment. So I got my tail light, I got my blade. I'm going to be using this razor, and what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to cut this piece off, and I have my sandpaper. Once sanded down, I'll show you the end result so we can then install it and see, if we have to make further modifications or if it's flush and it fits properly. All right, here we go. So here is the nipple. I found it easy to actually cut down into it, and because I can't find my Dremel, I'm gonna cut down all down on the tail light tab. Okay, so you guys can see the actual nipple is now removed off. There's still a bit of elevation right there, but we can probably sand that down. I'm gonna leave it like this for now. We're gonna test fit and see whether or not we need to make some final adjustments. In order for this test fit to work properly, what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna put this back, the trunk liner back on, and we're just gonna put 2 of the screws on. I don't gotta worry about the hinges just because it's not gonna interfere, but this trunk liner will. Let's put those 2 screws in, pop the tail light in, and see where we're at. Trunk liner is in. What I found was that I actually put the 4 outmost bolts back in just so it holds it in place. We have our inner side tail light. We trimmed off the nipple on the outer side of the inner side GTS tail light. I know that's confusing, but plug it back in, slide it through, and what we're gonna do is test fit. Hinges first, you see right there, and then just pop it in there. Okay, so the inner side tail light's in. It's not plugged in, so I'm gonna assist while closing the trunk. Yeah, we still have some room right here. We're gonna investigate and see what is causing that bottom side to not be flush with the outer tail light. I need the bottom to sit closer in too. Let's figure this out. First things first, remove the nipple that was once here. Secondly, you want to trim a bit of the outer insulation. As you guys can see, I left the top bit, but this one is not necessary simply because this one is on the inner side and the fitment issues are caused from the outer side of the tail light. Next things next, once you have this, you're gonna move over here, and these tabs right here, so they actually spin. What you're gonna do is you're gonna spin the bottom one all the way in till it's flush. Why? Because this allows you to have that perfect fitment on the bottom side of the tail light. Let me just twist this all the way in and then tighten it down, and then we'll do a test fit and I'll show you guys exactly how the fitment should look. Now, what happens with these tabs right here is that people just buy the tail lights, slap them on, and think, you know, oh, that's the factory setting, I'm gonna just tighten it, that's it. When in reality, you actually have to twist these to get your fitment dialed in to then have the bottom corner of this outer tail light to line up with the bottom side of the inner tail light. I have that all set, ready to go. Tabs screwed and ready to go. You just gotta tighten this, close it, put the tail light on, close the trunk, line it up, and make your adjustments. Once it's closed, you really just get an eye for it and you can see whether or not, you know, you need to adjust the bottom or the top. If, for example, I put the tail light back in, close the trunk, and I still see that the bottom is sticking out from the inner side, what that means is I have to adjust the tab on this bottom side, twist it more so that this tail light pushes slightly out and then matches with the inner and the outer. Let me tighten these up. I'm not gonna put the cover back on because I am gonna clean all this dirt, but I am gonna tighten these bolts. I'm gonna put the inner tail light back in, close the trunk, line it up, and we'll go from there. Okay, inner tail light's on. Gonna close this down. Now look at that. We're just about there. As I was stating prior, you can see that the top, my finger runs across it smoothly on the top side. You can see it's literally perfectly flush. I could maybe just do one more twist on the top. Now the bottom, you can see, look at that. We're almost there. It's like a set, not even, maybe like a millimeter off. So that means we're gonna twist the bottom just a bit more, and after that, fitment's gonna be perfect. So keep everything I stated in mind when doing it to the opposite side. Same applies for both sides. Same thing, every step that we took for this side, we're gonna apply to this side, from taking off the tab and a bit of the insulation to dialing in these inner tabs. This is probably the biggest thing that people forget about, and it's why there's a lot of questions like, oh, you know, I trimmed everything the way you said, I took the insulation off, but my fitment is still off. Well, you gotta play around and mess around with these. Same thing on this side, take the cover off, and then we're gonna twist it. So we saw that the bottom needed more twists in so that the taillight sits a little out. I'm gonna loosen this, and we're gonna adjust that. Okay, let's see if this is our last test fit. Look at that. Fitment is flush. Now there's no more poke, very little to none, but we're gonna tighten everything up, and then when I come back, as you can see, I can literally run my finger all the way across. Shout out to those that inspired me to film this video. I hope this video, you know, helps you guys out. We're not done yet. I still gotta do the other side. Let us now just tighten everything up. Okay, let us now take the same steps on the driver rear side as we did to the passenger one. Take that nipple off, adjust the knobs. Once everything's back in, we're gonna dial and button everything back up, close the trunk, and I should show you guys what the fitment is looking like at the end for these VLAND GTS tail lights on your F82 M4. Okay, so now that everything is prepped ready, adjustments have been made, inner tail lights are ready to go. I'm gonna get a wet, damp towel, and I'm basically gonna clean up any residue or dirt, grime that's inside prior to reassembly. So before I put the trunk liner back on, I remember I had questions on how to wire up these GTS tail lights. So for the driver's side, run the wire up the trunk hinge in through here, and that connects there. These connect like regular tail lights, and the modules, I actually 3M taped them on this inner side just because some people said that when they put the trunk liner back on, these would interfere. So I put mine in here just so that they're out of the way and not bothering the trunk liner. Same thing for the other side. They're in there tucked away. And then on this one, because the wiring loom goes through here, that's where I actually wired up this wire that goes down. Other than that, we are good to go. Time to slap everything back on, close the trunk, and present to you guys what the fitment's looking like. So we are just about done. We just wrapped up, closed the trunk, and to our surprise, we have the final fitment for the GTS tail lights. So there is literally no gap, as I am at a side peripheral to the outer side of the tail light, and it is basically flush with the inner side. So fitment is back in spec. Anyone watching, we walked over it, we went over what exactly you need to get the proper fitment on your tail lights. That way they are not sticking out about, you know, half of an inch, because they were prior to the install of this video. But there it is. I mean, it's installed, fitment's good, everything is set. One feature that I absolutely love is you lock it, then you unlock it, and you get that strobe sequential. Look at that. Beautiful. Now at night, of course, it hits different, but right now it definitely hits regardless. That being said, consider that if you are considering to buy these, as they change up the car quite drastically. But we are good. All complete. Because I don't know about you guys, but for me, it was a bit, you know, it's the little things that stick out, and now that I can see it and I know, you know, the fitment is perfect, I am at ease. Do not mind the car, it is dirty. I'm gonna wash it. But yeah, I'm gonna wash the car. It's filthy, so that's on the to-do list. Gonna wash it, get it ready. After that, more things to come for the car. But there it is. GTS taillights are on, installed, and working properly, as well as having proper fitment. Why? Because I can run my finger across, and I can run my finger straight back without any fitment issues. But I hope this video finds you guys well. I hope this video, you know, helps guide my fellow F82 owners on your installation for your GTS taillights. If you do have any questions, concerns, regards, whatever it may be, feel free to drop the comment down below or hit me up on my IG. I'm gonna drop my IG down below. Follow me, check out the build as it progresses through the changes and what's to come. I got a lot in store. It's just time is not always on my hand. So that being said, I was able to, you know, find the time to install, not install, but reinstall these taillights and adjust everything. Apart from that, hope you guys enjoyed it. Tap in with any questions, concerns. I'm gonna wash the car, and I'll catch you on the next one. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And like always, keep it authentic, y'all. Peace.